This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of SAG negotiations. Take a look, and you'll see many date of release migrations. Our first stop is the flops. Then we'll choose the films that bring elation. Our choices may defy explanation.
Woo! If you want to view Baconsale. It's an audio podcast.
It's just another
one take, one.
Thank you, Joel. That was awesome.
Ah, you're welcome. Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our British episode.
so English.
What? Cheerio.
English.
I was very happy.
English specifically.
Yes.
It's Tuesday, isn't it? Crew Dutler on Twitter said, pip, pip, cheerio, good show.
We'll do it in the accent.
Pip, pip, cheerio. Good show, gentlemen. Oh, so good. And then Sam Ma said, I've never wanted to go to England, and after your show, I still don't.
But we really were happy to see, like, a lot of people gave their experiences from
Yeah.
England, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and when I go, I got a lot of good tips.
Yeah.
Also, I checked our stats, and our listens dropped by half.
Oh,
in
sorry.
England, so
That sounds about right.
yeah, we offended
Well,
everyone.
They declared their independence from us.
It's probably stemming off of the comment from Jonathan Vascar, Johnny English the Brick, who said, I know a lot about England, and it's clear that you guys don't.
Accurate.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We're talking about movies that may or may not come out. I really feel like I said that in 2020 at some point, probably 3 times.
Probably so.
You know, we're talking about...
I just got the worst deja vu.
It's the fall movie preview.
Is this like a PTSD show?
It feels like a little bit like that.
In 2021, didn't we do kind of the same thing, except
Where
for
we gave
different
percentages,
circumstances?
yeah, of what we
Yeah.
if we thought they were coming out. Because what's going on right now, listener, and may still be going on as of the airing of this date, is that the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, they've gone on strike and they're not doing any work right now, which means a lot of productions are being pushed back.
Yeah.
And that could mean any of the things we talk about today may not happen this year. That may not be in the end of 2023. But before we get into that,
Okay.
I do want to bring up what we said during our summer notes, a little recap of what
thank you.
Oh,
Thank
recap
you.
the summer.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like this past summer, I said the ones I wanted to flop were Haunted Mansion, which is doing okay.
No.
It's got like half it. Well, no, I guess it's got to go more than that. Its budget was 157 million. It's made so far 85 million.
Yeah.
So it still has a long way to
Kind
go.
of dead in the water.
It could go farther.
Nope.
Strays, I wanted to flop. It had 46 million, and it's only made 10 million.
Right.
So it looks like that one's flopping.
Holla.
Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I wanted to flop, but dang, worldwide audience.
Still lowest grossing Transformers movie.
But still made more than its budget, double its budget. Fast X, that also that didn't do as well as the other ones did,
No,
did it?
it
Yeah,
didn't.
budget 340 million, 708 million at the box office, and then the live action Little Mermaid remake. I wanted that to flop. Its budget was 265 million, and it's only made 567 million at the box office, and that's probably it for it.
Yeah.
which is a modest
Maybe breaking
profit.
even.
Yeah,
Maybe.
But yeah, that was my flops.
Yeah, it's interesting. I put Indiana Jones 5, and it lost 200 to 300 million.
Yeah, it did not do well.
No hard feelings. Just kind of, people forgot about it immediately. Strays, same thing. Little Mermaid, just about breaking even. And then my number one movie I wanted to flop, but I didn't believe it would, was The Flash. And they just released the new budget, and I still think it's low end, 300 million.
And
on this
it
one.
flopped
and it
so
made
bad.
240 something. This is a total flop, and I love to see it.
I
know, isn't that so horrible?
I know you do.
Yeah.
I didn't have a formal list, much like I won't for this episode, but I'm pretty sure I said that Super Mario Brothers would be the highest grossing movie, and, it's up there.
It's doing quite well.
For now.
For now. It
Yeah.
will likely be surpassed as number one this year, but it's done well.
I oddly did not do well on my wanted to see list because I said I wanted to see Barbie, but then Ken didn't take me to a screening, so I didn't see it. But it's doing really well at the box office.
Really well.
I said I wanted to see The Flash, which I did, and
You wish you hadn't seen it now.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But I definitely was like, this is weird. This is bad. And it flopped. So
Yeah.
no big deal there. I still haven't seen Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Oh, dang.
Because once again, Ken didn't get a screening.
Zack came. Oh,
Not
sorry,
Joel.
Joel.
Oppenheimer still have yet to see. And then I did see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. which is doing pretty well at the box
So you
office.
saw a movie in May.
I saw 2 movies, one in May, one in June.
So this is on me just to take you to movies.
A little bit.
Yeah, Baconsale. My wild card was Last Voyage of Demeter, which just came out last month, which totally flopped, but I thought it was okay. Barbie, which I haven't seen.
You haven't seen it either.
Sorry, everyone.
I haven't seen it.
Well, let's see. I'm a Ken, so that's how it goes.
Kent.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was my number 3, probably where it belongs. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is losing money, probably about $100 million.
Which is weird because no one says it's a bad movie.
No, it's a good movie.
But it's
Terrible
just not
But the timing was so... Like, Tom Cruise was right to fight that IMAX release of Oppenheimer and Barbie because it came out a week and a half before, and it failed because of it. And my number 1 was Oppenheimer. And man, for a rated R movie about the guy that created everything behind the atomic bomb, this thing is made upwards of $720 million. I thought this movie would lose $100 million because of subject matter.
Is it? It's not his highest. It's not Christopher Nolan's highest.
It's his
grossing.
4th highest grossing movie.
Yes, but it's still
Dark Knight
still
will,
in box office.
Yeah, it's crazy for what it is.
So there's our look back at the summer, and now we're going to look back to the fall and winter, to December. From September to December, any movie in there is fair game. We're going to start off giving our 5 ones we want to avoid or the ones we want to flop, and then we'll move into happier territory.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, let's start with your number 5, Joel.
I teased it at the beginning of this episode. I want Wonka to flop.
Why? Tell us about Wonka first.
Oh, so yes, Wonka is the prequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I
or Charlie and the
love
Chocolate Factory.
prequels.
So good.
Oh, that's going to be quoted now.
But this is directed by Paul King, who directed Paddington and Paddington 2. So there is some promise there because we all love Paddington, as we mentioned last episode.
Indeed.
But it stars Timothée Chalamet, Keegan-Michael Key, Matt Lucas, Sally Hawkins, Rowan Atkinson, who we talked about last episode, Olivia Colman, 'cause she's in everything, Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. The plot summary does say the story will focus specifically on young Willy Wonka and how he met the Oompa Loompas on one of his earliest adventures. Now, Warner Brothers, they acquired the rights to the character in October 2016, and they've been trying their best to get something in the works as soon as possible. The short list of actors was reported to be Timothée Chalamet. He was in there. Also Donald Glover from Community, Ryan Gosling from Barbie, and Ezra Miller from Jail. But
I think they went for the new hotness with Timothée Chalamet, and I don't know if you've seen the trailer.
I have.
But in my opinion, completely miscast. His whimsy is not quite there.
It's not Gene Wilder whimsy, and it's not Johnny Depp whimsy.
No.
Is this a musical?
Yes. Well, maybe.
Musical elements.
Is there CGI Oompa Loompas wagging their bums?
I think he's trying to have like this Spitfire delivery and be a little bit charming at the same time. I don't think he pulls it off.
Well, I don't. There's also the premise in the trailer it talks about where it's like he goes to build his chocolate factory, and they're like, "You can't build a chocolate factory here. We already have chocolate factories here. You have to join our HOA of chocolate factories or whatever it is."
How fun.
And I was like, I don't get that story. Why would you not have another? I don't know. By the way, Timothée Chalamet got the role after the director saw his high school YouTube performances. He said that proved his vocal and dancing skills. So the director saw him on Timothée Chalamet on YouTube and went, "Yep,
Cut it out. It's
Wonka."
like, who's the most famous actor for Gen Z?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I went back to YouTube. No.
Well, and initially, I don't like reboots and prequels and sequels, like
Right.
extended sequels, legacy sequels. that's the word I'm looking for, as much. That's dangerous territory to be in my opinion. And when I heard this, I was immediately kind of like, no. But then I started watching the trailer and I was like, oh, it kind of has a cool look to it. But by the end of the trailer, I was like, no, I'm out again.
Yeah.
So number 5 want to flop is Wonka.
And you're not going to watch another trailer, so that's what's not sold you on this.
Yeah, December 15th. I'm not going unless Kent takes me to the screening.
Kent, what's your number 5?
The Nun 2. Right? It's like, oh, by the way, do you think Wonka's actually going to come out this year?
No, I think that's going to get pushed. The odds of that getting pushed, odds of it coming out, 25%.
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
Okay. The Nun 2, 100% chance it will release because it's being released on September 8th, so right at the beginning of the fall season. And the synopsis is 1956, France. I just love when it starts off that way, like it's a Law and Order episode.
Yes.
A priest is murdered and evil is spreading. The sequel to the worldwide smash hit follows Sister Irene as she once again comes face to face with Phallic, the demon nun.
Now, this
Yes.
trailer has been playing. I watched a movie today, and it was playing on the YouTube ads, every other ad. And it was like the same couple clips over and over again. And I was like, I'm so done. I'm so done with this.
Did you like the first one?
I
Did
didn't
you see the first one?
No.
Okay.
I
Have you
enjoyed
cared about the Conjuring universe at all?
I like The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2.
Did you like any of the Annabelle movies?
Annabelle Creation wasn't bad.
I thought it was really good, actually.
Yeah.
So like 3 of the 8 that are out now
It's
are actually
surprising how
okay.
many there are, but I haven't watched any of the Nuns because I'm like,
The Nun had good. Like I thought there was potential because The Conjuring 2, which features the Nun, was pretty creepy.
Yeah.
The Nun is my 7th worst movie of 2018. I hated The Nun, but it made $365 million on a $22 million budget. I think that's gross. And granted, horror makes money a lot. But that movie was just bad jump scares. And this one they show, and you've seen the trailer now a few times, they show 5 jump scares in the trailer.
Yep.
Which will be 5 of the 8 jump scares in the movie.
Yep.
Granted, there's a market for this, but I also think people are refusing to just go to movies anymore.
Except
for dumb reasons.
Except this is a scary movie and it'll be out in theaters in October. This may do quite well because it's a horror movie in the theaters in October.
It makes me upset. And the director doesn't look promising. He's the same guy. His name is Michael Chavez. He did The Curse of La Llorona. Is it Llorona?
Yeah, Llorona.
Did I say that right?
La Llorona, Llorona.
The crying will come.
Is there a song?
Yeah, it's in Coco.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
Is it a scary story?
classic
Llorona
song.
just means crying.
Yeah. But La
Llorona.
Llorona is like a mother who like drowns her kids. Anyways, that's part of the Conjuring universe too. And he also did Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It, which is part 3, which is not
Didn't
very
like
good.
that one.
Yeah, so the director, I don't think really knows what he's doing. I do want to see the Conjuring universe succeed, but I think it's kind of past its prime. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's not going to succeed with The Nun 2.
Maybe they could conjure up another hit, Kent.
I don't want none of that. Oh, I've crossed the line
No,
now.
Zach, you're supposed to say me too.
Me too. Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
too.
it's Conjuring Nun 2.
Hey.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay, Kent, what's your number 4?
It's a Joel joke that he's going to use later in the show. It's Trolls Band Together. This
What are you
one.
talking about? I never joke around about my thoughts and feelings.
We're ready for the Joel jokes this time. But this one has a 100% chance of releasing because if you remember the history of the Trolls movie, the second one was like the first movie at the beginning of the pandemic to be released on streaming. And it made so much money because people were like, oh, we can't go somewhere to eat movie theater popcorn? What are we going to do? We can watch it at home. And it made a ton of money. And I think it was Paramount that put it out. They were so excited about this. So even if they decide to just move this to streaming at some point, but I think it will be a theater movie, this will be released. So the synopsis of the third Trolls movie, gross. I even hate saying that. Poppy discovers that Branch was once part of a boy band, Brozone, with his brothers Floyd, John Dory, Spruce, and Clay. But when Floyd is kidnapped, Branch and Poppy embark on a journey to reunite the other brothers and rescue Floyd. That's a lot of names no one cares about, but let me tell you what this movie is selling itself on. 1998 energy. This is a collaboration of Justin Timberlake and a reunion.
Who plays Poppy?
Who plays Branch.
Branch. He's Branch, right?
And he's
Poppy's
reuniting with his bandmates NSYNC.
I saw this.
Yes, that is the way they're marketing this. Is it's an NSYNC reunion.
Yeah. I mean, who cares? Who cares, right?
Poppy
Am I
cares.
wrong?
Children.
Poppy cares.
Children. I mean, they don't care
why
about
would children
NSYNC.
care? I mean, look,
They just care about this movie,
There
I
are
guess.
people that will be happy that NSYNC is making another song because they are writing a new song or two for this movie. But for like the third Trolls movie, that seems like the wrong reason to get back into the business. Though you know Joey Fat One is all about this, or Chris Spider Dreads. He's looking for that paycheck. And Dancing with the Stars is not calling.
No.
What?
Wow.
It's Joey Fat One. That's how it's spelled.
Fatone. Fatone.
It's literally been my favorite joke since 1998. Don't take it from me. Look out on fire. Anyways, this is being directed by 2 guys that have written DreamWorks shorts, so not a lot of experience. And this stars Anna Kendrick, Justin Timberlake, Zooey Deschanel, and Amy Schumer.
Oh, no.
Period.
You can't remember.
the name.
I checked the trailers for this one on YouTube. Comments are turned off. Always a good sign.
It's a children's show.
That's it, yeah,
I'm
children's
sure that's
show.
only why.
Oh, listen, there are children's cartoons that are great. Puss in Boots probably doesn't have the comments turned off. That was wonderful.
When you upload a YouTube video, it says, is this made for kids or is this not made for kids? And depending on what you pick, that adjusts all the settings.
Oh, okay. You're going to bat for them. Anyways, Trolls 3, Trolls Band Together.
Is it 3? So it was 2 World Tour?
Yeah.
There wasn't a Trolls 2?
Nope.
Troll 2.
Oh,
Oh,
there's a Troll 2, and
There's
it's
a Troll
it's
2.
amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Joel, what's your number 4?
Kent, who created the Conjuring universe?
James Wan.
He also created Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Ouch,
If
Joel.
the mid-credit sequence of The Flash is any indicator as to the quality of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I have low expectations for this. And truthfully, I was not enamored with. Wait, Namor is Marvel. Mantis? Who's the
It doesn't matter. The joke worked. Move on.
Okay. But I just think this is. I didn't like the first one as much, and I don't. This is like the end of the DCU. This is called the 15th and final installment in the DC Extended Universe. This is the last. Jason Momoa, not Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill.
Amber Heard's in here.
Yeah, Amber Heard is in this movie. In this movie, her dogfish steps on a bee. Anyway, plot summary, by the way.
Dogfish. Wait, hold on.
Plot summary.
It's a catfish. It's got to be a dogfish.
The plot unknown, sequel to 2008 film Aquaman. That's the quality of entertainment we're getting here. Do I think this is going to get pushed back? I don't know, because this was supposed to release in December of 2022, but it was moved to March of 2023, and now December of 2023.
They just need to put it out and be done with it.
They do.
James Gunn wants to move on.
I think, and that's the reason I'm giving this maybe a 57% chance of releasing.
I think that's pretty good. I'd say 35, but I think 57 sounds good.
Because of that reason, though, James Gunn
80.
wants to cut off the DCU, and he's like, let's just put it out there. Don't need to promote it.
Even though this will fail regardless of when it comes out, because
Exactly.
the first
So just
one
put it out.
made over $1 billion.
But will it fail? Because Jason Momoa, Aquaman, Arthur Curry himself developed the story pitch while he was filming the first Aquaman.
Oh no. That's horrible.
He gave it to Warner Brothers and said, here's my picture I want you to make.
I couldn't be more scared now.
I wrote the story on a napkin.
Yeah.
Here you go.
In a cave.
He can read.
Also, but it says starring, and it's like Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, and I'm like, they were in the first movie. Are they coming back for this one? But then you also got Dolph Lundgren and Nicole Kidman, and so I just don't think Aquaman and Lost Kingdom is going to do well, and I don't really care to see it. I think it's going to flop anyway, so I put it on my list because I'm like, yeah, I want it to flop.
Flop because it's underwater.
I want it to flop. Yeah, I wanted to flop because they basically pulled the plug on the DC movies.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, what's the point of watching
With James
this?
Gunn announcing that they're rebooting everything, people just don't care.
Which is weird because standalone movies shouldn't be a killer, but because it was like building on something, and now that building is no longer going anywhere.
The dumbest thing about this is that movie that came out in 2018 that was a surprise smash success. Made $1 billion. No one thought that movie
and
could
the
get
worldwide audience could save this from flopping.
But also, well, that's true. But think about like
China likes the ocean.
And I appreciate people taking time for sequels, but like good sequels, 5 years later for a sequel to this movie?
Yeah.
That's way too long.
It's way too long. I agree.
Yeah. I still haven't seen that Aquaman movie. I don't care to.
Okay.
I don't.
Visually, kind of fun. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't like Jason Momoa.
Better underwater effects than Little Mermaid live action reboot.
Oh,
Well, I don't
easily.
wanna
I
see
mean,
that
come
either.
on. Film something like Kiddie Pool. It looks better.
Joel, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the longest title we have here. It is The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Comes out November 17th.
Silly.
This is directed by Francis Lawrence, who did I Am Legend, and he also did Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 and Red Sparrow. He's got a thing for
That's
birds.
promising. That's promising, though.
Not really.
Because he did Catching Fire. I think Catching Fire is like
the
very good.
best one of the bunch.
Yes.
In that list I just read.
Pitching Hope and Catching Fire?
This stars Tom Blythe, Rachel Ziegler, Peter Dinklage, Jason Schwartzman, Viola Davis. The plot summary: Coriolanus Snow, there you go, mentors and develops feelings for the female District 12 tribute during the 10th Hunger Games. And this is based on
You'd almost say he stalks her. Weird.
Well, this is
weird.
Rachel Ziegler's going to come out and say that this is it's not like it's an update to Hunger Games.
Hunger Games is like 11 years old.
It's
so outdated.
Hey, that's the age of Rachel Ziegler. Okay, let's get after her for things that were before she was born. But this is the prequel. This is the how President Snow came to be.
What prequel would you want to see? How President Snow came to be, or how the Capitol came into power, like the war and rebellion before the Hunger Games?
And it may have some of that too. I actually haven't read the book of Battle of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins.
It's apparently not good.
It's set 64 years before the events of the film. And the last time a Hunger Games movie came out was 2015 in the middle of Baconsale's Tournament of Villains, episodes 33 and 34. That's how long we've waited for this prequel to come out. And that huge gap to me just...
We've waited.
I haven't been waiting. When they said they were doing a Hunger Games prequel, I'm like, really?
As far as I'm aware, that last Hunger Games movie was Mockingjay 2.
Yeah.
It pretty much bombed, right?
Yes.
After the second movie, that franchise just lost all its steam.
Well, the problem is the source material, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Hunger Game books, by the time you get to the end, they really peter out. And the movies had to kind of go along with that. And so they followed that same path of like, wow, this is really good. Oh, it's getting less good. Oh,
Do you
it's
think
bad.
the star power of Jennifer Lawrence helped that movie?
Yes.
Or that series?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think
Because
that,
it's not all that original after the first movie,
and
right?
Okay, then this is Kent. I know you.
By the way, this is also my number 3.
Okay.
Straight up.
Is it?
Yeah, I want this movie to really fail. And I think there's a 50% chance this is released in theaters.
Yeah, I'm actually. This is November, and so I'm like, they could sneak it in there. They could push it to December. I think it may come out just to get people in theaters. So I'm giving this actually a 42%.
Okay.
I think it may come out. I'm going to put less than 50% chance.
Yeah, because I still think it's going to get pushed because I don't know. I don't know
Pushed-
why.
I could see this one getting pushed to like that early summer slot,
Yeah.
like April.
I think the problem is because actors cannot promote their own movie.
Yeah.
That's maybe why this is specifically pushed,
But
because they want this
maybe
to be
that's
the
a good
money
thing
earner.
for Rachel Ziegler not to be.
Yeah, I was going to
movie.
say the production company's happy.
Does Jason Schwartzman, does he play the dad of Stanley Tucci? Flickerman?
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like I should look this up.
I haven't done more into
because
this.
in the trailer he plays the Caesar Flickerman character, but I don't know if it's the
Hmm.
same character or his dad, because he would be very old considering the main character on this one turns into Donald Sutherland.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you, Kent. I don't care about any of that.
Meaning what?
Like this is just this to me is completely nonsense, like unnecessary.
The prequel?
Garbage cash grab prequel. This should not
Okay.
exist.
Should
I
Hunger
do
Games,
not think people will
should
care
there
about
be
this.
a Hunger Games world at all? Meaning before like the rebellion or way post
No.
Katniss.
Hand is played.
Oh,
that,
okay.
That,
So
like,
it's done.
That genre is dead. Proved by Maze Runner and all those other Divergent. Like that genre is dead. There's no reason to explore this.
Do you think audiences will feel the same way?
Yes. I think this movie will not. I don't necessarily want it to bomb. I think it will bomb because nobody's asking. And watch, it's going to make so much money.
I wonder.
And people might look at it and go, "Oh, I remember that from 10 years ago."
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, and that's what I feel like. I feel like all the fans of the Hunger Games who were fans back then have kind of grown up and moved on.
It's not one that sticks with you. It's not like a Harry Potter, right? It's like people grew up with Harry Potter and kept it. Nobody's like, "Oh, I cherish my Hunger Games book that I had." It's like, "Oh, I've kind of grown out of that." There's like just a lot of toxic relationships. It's more akin to Twilight.
Yeah,
does
that's
feel
true.
more Twilight. in
Yeah.
that vein.
All right, well, for my number 2, I'm copying Joel. It's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This one comes out December 20th, but like I said, I think it's a pretty slim chance that it is actually released. But Zach, you bring up a good point. Why not just burn it off? Why
Yeah,
not
it really should just go.
put everything in the garbage disposal and move on with a new DCU?
Clearly, they don't care about having good effects in their movies
Yeah,
based on Flash.
very true.
So they don't need to put a big bit of polish on
and
it.
we have no synopsis. We have no trailer to hype everything up.
I think it's just going
Also-
to quietly be released and maybe even be written off.
And I think we kind of know that Jason Momoa is being recast in the new DCU as Lobo, right? Like he's going to play a different character, and that's going to confuse people even more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked out just fine for Chris Evans in
Sure.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's true.
Right? He was Johnny Storm, Human Torch in one universe, and suddenly became Captain America. It worked out just fine for him because it was good casting.
Yeah. But I just think this whole movie's been sabotaged, and maybe it was just never good. Joel, like you said, it was written by Jason Momoa. This one has had
I wouldn't
several...
say written. It's the story was
Okay.
pitched.
There have been several cuts
He
and...
can't write. You know that.
I mean, probably not. But there have been several reshoots, like several rounds of reshoots, because they've had test screenings, and it's always done horrible. And then they went in last year and they added Ben Affleck's Batman because they, after The Flash and with The Flash, they were like, you know what? Maybe we'll go back to Affleck and Cavill and get out. And James Gunn cut any Ben Affleck reference in this one because they do just want to burn it off. And you know what? Probably fine. If they're actually going to reboot everything, probably fine. But you know what? Nobody wants to invest in something that's already dead.
I think the fact that they've already released Blue Beetle to like no hype,
right.
no nothing, they don't care. Just get it out of the way. I think they'll do that with this.
I think so too. How much do we think it'll make? If the other one made $1 billion, even with worldwide, do we think this one will make 400 to 500 million?
What did Flash do?
260.
I think it'll
something
be
around there.
maybe slightly better than that.
That's it.
Like 300 million.
500 sounds fair.
Because it's effects heavy, and that always does well overseas. If it is effects heavy, we don't know.
China loves the ocean.
Yeah, maybe it's just all based on overseas. It does hit that 500,000 mark.
Yeah, but I don't want it.
I don't think the domestic
because
numbers are going to be very good.
I love that superhero fatigue is a thing. I actually really like it because I want it to go away for a long time.
Sure you do.
I do.
Bring back the Western, baby.
Oh, I'd love that.
Joel, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is from the same director as Candyman. Not the original, which was terrible. The new one, which was also terrible. This is The Marvels, directed by Nia DaCosta. Now, this stars Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, Eamon Vellani as Kamala Khan, and then you get Samuel Jackson in there as well. And the plot summary says Carol Danvers gets her powers entangled with those of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, forcing them to work together to save the universe. It's the sequel to Captain Marvel and a continuation of the television series Miss Marvel
And
the 33rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
isn't it also a continuation of Secret Invasion?
Yes.
Kind of, yes.
So you now, in order to watch and enjoy this movie, you have to have seen Captain Marvel, the movie. You have to have seen WandaVision. You have to have seen
Miss
Miss
Marvel.
Marvel, and you have to have seen Secret Invasion.
Right.
Well, and that's
Why this is my if I had a list, it'd be number 1. I want this.
I was meh on Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I didn't like Monica Rambeau, the character. I don't think Teyonah Parris is that good of an actress in that role.
They'll never know what you did
WandaVision.
for them.
Oh, and then I didn't watch Miss Marvel. My kids did.
Yeah.
I didn't.
No one really did.
And so this movie, and also Kent, you have mentioned, and Zach, I believe you too, that you were not a fan of the visual effects in Ant-Man Quantumania.
No.
It's this movie's fault. Because this movie was originally supposed to be releasing around the time Ant-Man released. They got to a point where they said, hey, you're further along production, Ant-Man. We're going to kick you into high gear and release you early, and then we're pushing Marvel's down the road further, because that's going to be our bigger movie.
Sure.
And so they probably had to scrimp and save and rush all the visual effects on that movie, because they're like, oh, we got to hurry. We got to get it out. So you can blame MODOK on the Marvels.
I blame MODOK for most things.
Yeah. And this is another movie that has been kicked down the road so many times. I think they are just going to release it, if not in theaters, on Disney Plus.
There's no.
You think they would do that?
There's no precedent for that with Marvel.
There's not, but at the same time, I'm like, if they can't promote it, if they can't do it, but they want to get it out to tie it in so people don't forget about Ms. Marvel.
Isn't it weird? The perception of releasing something on Disney Plus like that would probably be seen as a gift. Like, it would be a boon for the brand. They'd be like, cool, big budget movie. We get day one. How cool is that?
Yeah.
But there will actually be a lot of negative press. Right?
Maybe they'll try the premium streaming thing.
Yeah,
again.
that's what they did with Black Widow, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mulan.
they didn't have
And Cruella.
Yeah, they didn't have theaters to release them in.
Yeah.
So you released them home for $30.
Yeah. They may do that again, but I'm actually giving this a 76% chance of coming out.
Would you have honorable mentions to throw out there before we get to number 1?
I do, and I'll give my number 1 right after.
Okay.
So I have The Exorcist Believer. It's a reboot/sequel to The Exorcist.
With the
Even has-
soundtrack by Imagine Dragons.
Yeah. Believer. This has the mom from The Exorcist, and she's a character in this one. Kind of weird. And it's by the people that were behind the Halloween remake trilogy. Yeah.
Rob
really horrible.
Zombie?
No, that's worse, but this is slightly less worse. Wonka's on there. Next Goal Wins, which will probably be delightful, but it's Taika Waititi's
But it's
new
got
movie.
Michael Fassbender in it.
Michael Fassbender. It's a soccer movie. It looks cute.
Give me non-Marvel Taika Waititi. He's
You're
all
right. Okay.
Jojo Rabbit's an enjoyable movie.
And then also Wish, which is Disney's new animated movie, which I don't know if it will come out.
Is there a dragon in that one?
No.
I
A little
don't know.
tiny creature, whatever. My number 1, though, I'm just going to
fine.
jump right in. It's The Marvels. Meant to release on November 10th. I give this one a 41% chance of releasing because it is not going to get an IMAX release. The president of IMAX said, you know what, we're going to give this to another movie, which is a big sci-fi epic, and they've booked all of our screenings, and we're going to keep
You
it with
can't
them.
say the word Dune.
No, I cannot, because that's a tease.
It's Toon.
Oh, yes, Tune.
Tune. And so
The
I
worm
think,
boogie.
I think they may try to push this back to maybe March because it was meant to release on July 8th, 2022, November 11th, 2022, February 17th, 2023, July 28th, now to November. I think they're just going to keep pushing it. This is a movie that is almost cursed, and the stars definitely don't help that process.
Nope.
It does have the star of a $1 billion movie, but then 2 other TV actors from Disney Plus shows that no one really saw. And I think this will be similar to Aquaman, where people will be like, "Yeah, I saw the first one. It was fine. I'm good." You know. And this one has had so many behind the scenes disputes with Brie Larson, who honestly probably should have just got Captain Marvel 2 because that movie made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And it says that's the Marvels. It's fine.
No, I think if it was Captain Marvel 2, I would have more interest in it. You know, I saw the first Captain Marvel in theaters. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that I have to do so much homework going into this means it is a guaranteed I will never watch this movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The director really made this movie stand out by saying that this Marvel movie will be hilarious and lighthearted.
Joel, what's your number one?
Well, I did have one honorable mention I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Expendables.
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 Yes.
It's the fourth.
Expendables.
It sounds like a vitamin or something.
I just looked at, this came out, it's supposed to come out on September 22nd, and it just seems like that it's tired. They should have ended at 3. It wasn't even great at 3.
I thought 2 was good, and that's where they should have stopped.
Yeah, but like a trilogy makes sense.
Sure.
It used to be, that's what Hollywood did. They do a trilogy, and they were like, we're done. And now it's like, how long can we stretch this out?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this is.
To the point where the new cast aren't really just the old standbys that we all love. The reason we saw the Expendables.
It was old action heroes, and now it's Megan Fox?
Yeah.
What?
I know.
She's not an action hero.
Right.
But no, my number one, Kent, you were absolutely wrong. This is Trolls Band Together.
Okay, there we go. Why? Why do you hate it so much?
Well, and okay, I want to bring this up because the Marvels, the one thing that does intrigue me is the plot, where the fact that they switch powers or switch places every time they use their powers. I'm like, that's kind of a fun dynamic.
Sure. Okay.
I might enjoy seeing that. But Trolls Band Together, I have despised the Trolls movies since the beginning one. And I hated... I don't even know if I watched the second one. My kids may have, but I just was like, I don't ever want to see another Trolls movie again. Mm-hmm. But Justin Timberlake, back in 2020, expressed interest in participating in future Trolls movies. And he said, quote, I hope we make like 7 Trolls movies because it literally is the gift that keeps on giving.
What?
You know what? So is dysentery. Okay? Justin Timberlake,
Something?
chill. This is not a gift.
This is the Oregon Trail?
This is awful. Don't keep making these movies.
I like that was in his quote because it sounds like a Justin Timberlake thing to say.
Yeah, it was during the Apple Music takeover. He said that.
It's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's bringing money back.
No, he said it is it literally is the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, it's not the movie that keeps.
Can we trade him to Gen Z?
Sure. You
guys good with that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure.
Let's move into the top now,
Yes.
gentlemen. Your top 5
Ones
most
we
anticipated.
want to see that are coming out in theory. before the end of the year.
Theoretically, again with the score. Kent, start us off with your number 5.
Spoiler alert, my list is all about directors. And I guess typically that is generally my choices, right?
Anymore, I figured I'm not an actor person, I'm a director person.
That's
right?
kinda how it
That's what
goes.
draws me to a project.
And so we're going to go with probably the most hit and miss director on this list.
Ridley Scott.
It's Ridley Scott.
It's Ridley Scott.
So Napoleon is the movie that is my number 5.
Is that the sequel to Dynamite?
It's a prequel, actually.
Oh.
Napoleon.
Before Napoleon Dynamite,
Pre-Dynamite.
there was Napoleon.
And so this one is meant to come out on November 22nd.
Then there's 2 Napoleon, 2 Dynamite. Then
Yes.
there's just Dynamite 7.
Yep.
Napoleon Dynamite Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kip X.
Oh, I'd watch Kip X.
The Uncle Rico Extended Universe.
Why isn't
The
Uncle Rico in
Rico-verse.
those movies, though? He should be in the Fast and Furious movies. Don't you think that's like a natural move?
I bet I can drive a car over those mountains.
And he could, because the movie would allow him to. Napoleon's synopsis is... The film takes a personal look at Napoleon Bonaparte's origin and his swift, ruthless climb to emperor, viewed through the prism of his addictive and often volatile relationship with his wife and one true love, Josephine. Wow. That's a
Say that
mouthful.
10 times fast.
Yeah, right?
That movie, if it would get an automatic A- grade from me if at the closing credits, ABBA's Waterloo starts playing.
Oh, man. That would be so cool. Bum, 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 bum,
Waterloo.
bum,
Can they
bum.
at least slow it down for the trailer?
They should.
Waterloo.
Is Eddie Vedder doing it?
Yeah, Scott Stapp and Eddie Vedder.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean-
amazing. And Chad Kroger is in the... Could you imagine that collaboration?
I'd be so happy.
Anyways, this movie, by the way, there's also a theme here. It says 2 hours and 38 minutes, which is one of the shortest movies of 2023. So, yay. And it's starring Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby. Ridley Scott, like I said, hit and miss. But when he hits, it is
a good
incredible.
hit.
And his only work with Joaquin Phoenix was as Emperor Commodus and Gladiator.
Yeah.
And
Kind of put Joaquin Phoenix on the map.
it really did.
Well, the fact that Ridley Scott is, I believe, also working, at least in some capacity, on a Gladiator 2, that's his surefire flop, which means that there's a
Is
better
it?
chance that
Is it?
this is going to be good. It's like,
You really think that movie's going to flop because the expectations are so big and everyone will be
nobody-
like, where's Maximus?
yeah, like 300 was a great movie. Nobody watched the sequel.
You're right.
Nobody cared about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's going to be similar. But I think because, again, Ridley Scott's so hit and miss, I think he's working on his flop, which means this one is
But
going to be...
the question is, will people want to see a main character like Napoleon?
We?
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
well,
will they care to see kind of a ruthless guy grow into power?
what has Joaquin Phoenix done lately? Was Joker his last thing, which was a
Is-
huge
No, he
Like
had that
something.
one.
Beau
Beau
is
is afraid. Yeah.
Beau
Which
is
is
afraid.
definitely an indie movie, but
Sure.
Joker would be the iconic
So
role.
this is his first big movie since Joker.
Yeah.
But he's got Joker 2 coming out.
He's a draw.
He's
And
a draw.
as long as this isn't, did Ridley Scott do Noah, or was that somebody else?
No, that was Darren Aronofsky.
Aronofsky.
Love that
So,
name.
yeah, I mean, as long as it's not weird, I think this movie will do well.
I'm pretty excited to see Vanessa Kirby in a role like this. She's been in Mission Impossible movies.
She's the pink one, sucks up other creatures, takes their powers.
That's Kirby, the Nintendo character.
I almost agreed with you, but probably she has blonde hair. Yeah. Anyways,
She's been in Fast Furious movies too, right?
no. Regardless whether this is a good movie or not, the scope will be big, and I think that's what Ridley Scott does really well.
So far, based on the trailers, I think it's going to be a very good-looking movie.
72% chance this will be released this year, and the only reason they'll push it till next year is they'll want a little bit more money because it probably costs a lot of money, and the Oscars might already be swallowed up by other directors. Like
Fast and Furious presents
Christopher Nolan.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Is she in that?
She's in that.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I knew she was in a Fast
So
and
I think
Furious movie.
72% chance this is released.
All right.
Makes sense.
Joel, what's your number 5?
My number 5, I'm going gritty and dark as well. I'm doing Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie.
There's a Paw
Comes
Patrol
out
movie.
September
I knew
29th.
that was coming.
It's directed by Denis Villeneuve.
I would have so watched that.
A Paw Patrol movie.
Sicario 3, Paw Patrol.
No, my real pick is Dune Part 2.
Okay. Editor's note. We recorded this episode a day before we found out about the re-release of Dune Part 2, which is moving to March 15th, 2024. This timeline is the worst.
Now, Kent, you're over there. Joel, you didn't really like the first Dune movie.
Literally took the words out of my mouth.
And you'd say you
Literally like.
took
the words out of my mouth.
The thing about Dune is that I didn't quite enjoy it. Maybe it's because it was two parts of a story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt completely lost, but it was also very visually amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I trust Denis Villeneuve.
Right. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because the first one, as we know, and that movie did it better than I think the 80s one, it was let's drop you into a universe. Here's all the exposition for 30
Yes.
minutes.
And they did say the first movie was more contemplative, whereas the second movie is going to have more action. It's going to be an epic war movie,
Right.
which I think that's intriguing as well. And I'm hoping by the time I finish that one, I'll understand the plot of the movies. Because it's just crazy. Oh, by the way, Dune, the plot summary. Paul Atreides unites with the Kiani and the Freemen while seeking revenge against conspirators who destroyed his family.
It's the sand one with the things in the nose.
It's and the worm. When you have to walk without rhythm.
I hate
attract the worm.
hate sand. I've never watched Dune
Because of course.
because I've realized in the last month that I just hate sand.
You were the chosen one.
I know. Me and Anakin, we're buddies now.
Oh.
Sand is the worst.
But no, Dune Part 2 is one that intrigues me oddly, but I couldn't put it higher on my list because the first one...
Are you worried? I think they'll finish the story. Are you worried that they're gearing up to a part 3, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it starts with Part 2 of 3...
Yeah.
But it won't, right?
It
But
won't, but it still could lead to the conclusion of the story.
Yeah.
What's your number 4, Joel?
This is my wild card pick, so I'm choosing Saw X. I've only seen the
Chris
first
Rock in
2,
this one?
and I jumped to 10, and I think that's a good way to go.
That's actually fine because this movie takes place between Saw and Saw 2. This is the story of Jigsaw. So Tobin Bell is coming, I know too much about this movie. He's coming back because he died in number 3. Spoiler alert. He's coming back to play a version of him from 20 years ago. Yeah.
I would watch that.
Yes, that's the story.
I kind of like the first 3 Saw movies.
Are they going to give
Wait,
me
you like 3?
Not as much. I like the
That's
first
dark.
2.
I love the first 2.
First 2.
The
3
first one
has
is
some
very good
interesting
psychological
things.
thriller. Dark.
Yes, and then it just gets really yucky.
Guys, this is my joke pick.
I forgot about your jokes. You got me.
I'm not
sitting
looking
here
forward to Saw 10. Saw's not bad.
It's Saw X, by the way.
Yeah, Saw
like
X.
Kip X.
Yeah, and Fast
But
X.
it's Fast 10.
Fast X. But no, this is my wild card pick because I'm choosing a movie called Dream Scenario. Now, this is... Yes. This follows...
Hipster over here.
This is a movie directed, I don't even know, Christopher Borgli is what his name is, the director.
I like
But
who it's starring.
It follows a professor, they call him schlubby professor, who becomes an overnight celebrity after appearing in everyone's dream. And
yeah, I did see
starring
something about this.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And Julian Nicholson and Michael Cera and Tim Meadows and Dylan Baker.
Yeah.
So this is going to premiere at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival in September, but it's not going to come to theaters till November. But this seems like kind of this weird indie-ish. And all I have really to go on this is a picture of Nicolas Cage as this old, balding, fat guy. And his car behind him.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. And his car behind him has loser spray painted on it. And the premise of just him appearing in everyone's dreams, I'm like, well, but why? And then seeing Nicolas Cage there is that I went, I'm intrigued by this. Mm-hmm. So I put it on my list as number 4. Kent, you're going to have to see it and let me know.
I hope it's one of those movies that is actually worth seeing because there are 70% of Nicolas Cage movies
There's
that no
a
one
whole
ever sees.
Community episode where it's like, is Nicolas Cage brilliant or awful?
Yeah.
And that's the debate. So this could be good, it could be bad, but I'm just like, you know what? This is one where I had, I was going through the movies. I'm like, yeah, this one. And then I saw that one and it kept popping up in my head. I'm like, I got to put it on the list. Mm-hmm. So Dream Scenario.
Kent, what do you have for your number 4?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
All right.
This
Scorsese?
Yeah, Scorsese. This is, once again, another big director. October 20th is the release date for this. But the problem here is it's owned by Apple TV Plus, or whatever it's called.
Is it getting a wide release?
It's called Apple Max.
Apple
Max X.
I hate that so much. It is probably getting a release of maybe a week because they want this to be an Oscar movie.
Yeah.
And it was made to be an Oscar movie. So the synopsis is, members of the Osage tribe in the United States are murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. This is 3 hours and 26 minutes.
Who stars in this, Kent?
Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Brendan Fraser, everybody.
And Jesse Plemons.
And Jesse Plemons.
I mean, come on.
Now,
has there been anything more on this movie release since the one picture?
No, there's been a trailer.
There's actual trailer.
I watched the trailer. Let me tell you.
The joke is they released the picture a year ago, and it's just he and his wife sitting at the table.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then finally the trailer came out.
I watched the trailer, and I'll tell you what, I really needed that pick-me-up. It really made me happy. Laughed out loud.
Don't you
many
love
times.
panoramic shots of things burning, though? Because that was kind of the trailer.
This trailer was heavy.
It's very heavy. It's based off a very popular book. I trust Scorsese, and this has long been a passion project for him. I'm a little worried about the streaming release. I think it could get ignored, but I'm hoping that he says, look at Oppenheimer, look how much money it made. But 3 hours and 26 minutes is pushing it. But I think he may realize he could get some money if he keeps it in theaters for a little bit longer. But Apple has had good success with Oscar movies.
They have.
So good work. Cinematography is great. The cast is stacked. This one will be truly probably a great film worth watching one time.
Yeah.
So
that's most Scorsese's work, in my opinion.
I love some. But yeah, this one will be too heavy. Joel, you're right. It will just be too heavy and sad.
It seems very heavy.
Kent, what's your number 3?
We're going to remove Of the Flower Moon. It's The Killer. Have you guys heard about this at all?
Brandon Flowers?
Yeah, it's just the story. So he left the band, and he just became Killer.
Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
The Killers
No longer
of the
plural.
Flower Moon.
Yes.
Brandon, what?
So The Killer stars Michael Fassbender and Tilda Swinton, directed by David Fincher.
Is this a Netflix one?
This is a Netflix movie.
Yeah.
This didn't cross my radar. What's this one about?
After a fateful near miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. Very vague.
Yeah.
But this is a hitman story. Obviously, the job goes wrong for whatever reason.
Wait, who stars it? You said
Michael
Tilda Swinton.
Fassbender.
And Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, and this is
That's
David Fincher
Fincher.
in his first movie for a while.
Yeah, David Fincher.
right.
He's the director of
Gone Girl,
7,
Social Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, very few films, but I'm pretty stoked. Like I said, November 10th, the best part about this movie, 1 hour and 53 minutes, so that's kind of nice. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are scoring this movie.
Oh, that's good.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
This I didn't hear this one. This might have been my list.
Yeah, it just came
Killer?
out the trailer last week. So check that out.
watch that?
And I've missed Michael Fassbender. Honestly, he did
And
Dark...
yet you put one of his movies in your list you wanted to
I mean,
flop.
it's true. But he did Dark Phoenix in 2019 and then just disappeared. And even
I
before
wonder
that,
if he wanted to
wasn't in a
dip
lot.
after the X-Men thing. He's like, I want people to forget that that's what I did.
Maybe.
And I want to do whatever I want.
Yeah. So honestly, having 2 movies this end of year season, like it's a pretty good sign.
Wait, what was the other one?
It was Next Goal Wins,
Oh, that's
which is comedic, and then Killer, which is not comedic whatsoever. But David Fincher, he really has an eye for editing, and I think this movie will feel really tight. And I've needed a movie. I don't know if it will feel like this, but I loved The Accountant so much in 2016. I wanted a movie like that for a while. I'm hoping this one takes that, maybe on a darker edge.
That'd be great. I like that movie.
I just added the trailer to my watch later list.
Perfect.
Joel, what's your number 3?
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3.
There we go.
You guys,
Finally.
You know, when a movie is the third movie in the franchise and it has 3 in the title, it's usually the best one of the franchise.
Is it Greek?
Yeah,
My
my big fat
Greek
Greek
Wedding.
Freak wedding.
Freak wedding.
Wow.
No.
Here's the thing. That movie is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, number 2 was not great.
no.
Like, it was bad.
Number 1's so cute.
I love number 1. I love it.
It reminds me of the Provo Dollar Theater because I saw it at that time.
That's probably right.
living
It's
there.
a Playtone record.
Guys, that's my joke pick because, and this may seem like
Once again, we're talking more about your joke pick.
this may seem this may seem like my joke pick, but I assure you, gentlemen, it is not because I did choose Five Nights at Freddy's.
Really?
Yes,
Hold on, really?
I'll tell you why.
You can have 2 jokes in a row.
No, it's because of Matthew Lillard.
Oh,
Kent.
truly, actually.
And Josh Hutcherson. No, this is one of
Peter?
those that this is based on the video game franchise of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is nothing but jump scares. I've never really been interested in the games. I don't play them. I've seen them played, and it's just you sit in a room and wait for something to jump out and scare you. That's it. But I am interested in the lore when I started kind of learning a little more about how Freddy Fazbear
It's in
came to
depth.
be. Yeah, and there's the whole intricate thing, and I thought, you know what? This could be a fun way to get into the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's being created by the creator of the game, so it's not going to be like they take it and change the story completely. But this also could be a fun horror movie to watch with my older kids. They are not into the games, they know about them, and they've expressed some interest, and I'm like, you know what? I'd like to see Five Nights at Freddy's.
It's weird that it's taken this long.
Yes.
It's taken so long that they made a spin-off, or like not even a spin-off movie, a parody movie with Willy's Wonderland with
Yep.
Nicolas Cage a couple years ago. It was awful. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping with the creator behind it, it could actually reach the fans at the very least.
And this does feel, and that's why I felt a little bad putting on there, because this does feel like a late comer to the
I agree.
party.
Yeah.
Like Angry Birds coming out like after people had all uninstalled
Sure.
it from their phone. This, however, it's going to be released simultaneously in theaters and on Peacock,
Oh.
which is not going to do good for the box office.
Hey, that will make it easy for you to see, though, because my kids have said the same thing. They're like, will you see this and then let us know if we can watch it?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, for sure.
So Kent, you watch it. Let me know if I can watch it. And
Okay.
I'll watch it and let me see if my kids can watch it.
Deal.
A whole chain of events there.
Joel Ezra Hilton.
It's not a
You're
real
telling
name.
me you want to see Five Nights at Freddy's
FNAF, as the kids call it.
more than Dune?
Editor's note. Turns out he was right.
So here's the thing, Zach.
Listen, if the sandworms jump scared him, he'd be all about it.
I am not smart enough to understand Dune. I understand jump make go scare. Jump
Scare go,
scare
ah.
me. Me go ah.
Me like, All right. Well, what's your number 2, Joel?
My number 2 was there was a moment in this trailer when I went, wait, what? And it's because I chose The Exorcist Believer.
See, he's on a scary movie kick. Five Nights
Yeah.
at Freddy's to something that's really devious.
Exorcist go
that's the title. Exorcist go off.
Yeah, vomit go everywhere.
No, but
Yeah.
I did pick a horror movie, a thriller more as my number 2. I chose A Haunting in Venice. Now, the reason why,
the most
reason why,
surprising trailer ever.
yeah, and that's exactly it. It piqued my interest because I'm watching this trailer, and it's this. The movie was called A Haunting in Venice, and I was looking at the trailer. I was expecting something like A Haunting in Connecticut or A Haunting in Georgia Part 2, Connecticut. I don't know what they subtitled that
Yeah,
one, but that
Ghost
was
of
terrible.
Georgia.
That's it. But it was terrible. But then I went, okay, this is going to be another standard kind of reenacted real life story.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching it and it's going on, Tina Fey shows up, and I was like, what is Tina Fey doing in a horror movie like this?
What are other prominent actors doing?
And then you
here?
get, then you get people like Michelle Yeoh. And I'm like, oh, she's in this too?
What movie franchise has a
interesting.
bunch of random stars? put
And then all of a
together?
sudden, Kenneth Branagh walks in as Hercule Poirot.
With the mustache.
With the mustache, which if you don't know who he is, he's from Murder on the Orient Express. He's on Death on the Nile.
Spoilers, he
Pause.
shaved the mustache.
Pause.
Paused.
You didn't like Murder on the Orient Express.
I did not.
Which I did.
I
What?
gave
You
it,
didn't
I
like
gave
it?
it 2.5 stars.
Oh, I liked it.
I liked it a lot. And then Death on the Nile, we can all agree, is horrible.
Have not
really
seen it.
quite bad.
How is this your number 2? And how is it higher than Five Nights at Freddy's?
And Tune.
Well, but here's the thing. It is based on the 1969 novel Halloween Party by Agatha Christie.
This name's better.
I am an Agatha Christie fan.
Yeah.
And then the summary is, in post-World War II Venice, Poirot, now retired and living in exile, reluctantly attends a seance. But when one of the guests is murdered, it is up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. So I'm like, horror movie, whodunit, could be fun. And the fact that the trailer surprised me, and I was not completely put off by seeing Kenneth Branagh walk in, who is directing it, by the way. He's also directing this. He also directed Thor and Hamlet and Henry V and Artemis Fowl and Cinderella.
Wow. Okay.
Foul.
Yeah. More like
Like you just
foul.
emphasize it, and it's like we get it.
But yeah, A Haunting in
I've been
Venice.
beating that dead horse for years.
It really did pique my interest to the point where I went, yeah, I want to see that now because the trailer surprised me.
It really is one of the more fun trailers I've seen.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
what am I watching? Did I just get Rick rolled?
Yeah,
Like,
is this an
what the
SNL skit? What's happening here?
heck? What? Yeah.
Because they financed a third movie anyways.
yeah,
it's
because
weird.
Death on the Nile was so bad and it came out in an awkward time.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah.
I blame Armie Hammer.
Well, I was going to say,
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear audiences really ate him up.
What? Kent, what's your number 2?
Tune. This
That's
has-
your number 2?
Yeah, so this comes out November 3rd. Editor's note, wouldn't that be nice if this came out November 3rd? Really disappointing. Shame on you, Warner Brothers. It stars Timothy Camembert, Rebecca Ferguson, Austin Butler, who played Elvis,
That's right. Austin Butler is in
Austin
that.
Butler.
and he plays the villain that Sting played in the 80s one, and he looks menacing.
Christopher Walken.
And I'm a little worried that Austin Butler is now going to become that villain
Forever.
until his next role.
He got to get stuck in roles. doesn't he?
Also, Zendaya Coleman and Christopher Walken as the Emperor.
I just still picture Austin Butler's like, hey, you want some spice?
I do think this one has a 56% chance of releasing. I say over 50 because this is the movie that they're like, hey, we're probably going to push this one back. But once again, the whole IMAX strategy, if this movie comes out when it's meant to, beginning of November, it's going to own IMAX for like 5 to 6 weeks. Why not keep that? Editor's note. So sad. You know, in the first Dune, didn't make a ton of money. Like, it made okay money. But
They
it
weren't
wasn't
going
this-
to greenlight the sequel unless it did well. But
Right,
so it did well enough.
and it did well enough. But I don't expect this to be like a $800 million movie. I just expect it to be good and make somewhere near about
What if it
400.
is? What if it is, Ken? What if it beats Aquaman?
Oh, please. Absolutely. What if it beats Five Nights at Freddy's? You know,
Sure, it
but
probably
I
will.
am excited. I think hopefully the politics and the world building's taken care of, even though we're going to get to see more of the Emperor. Oh, and also Florence Pugh is in this movie
Yeah.
too.
Would you consider her a draw?
No.
Okay.
I think she's a great actress, but not a draw yet.
She's reliable, but yeah, people don't go out to see her.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see like villains that I can hate. And I think that's what
Yeah.
Dune 2 will provide.
That's why I picked Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, precisely.
Villains I can hate.
Like Bonnie and Chica
Yep.
and Freddie
Moo Moo.
Fazbear, obviously. Moo. Oh, go
Yep.
on. Other characters?
Cowbear.
Cowbear? I think you just spoke that into existence. There's going to be the next game.
It's going to be the next animatronic. It's going to be Cowbear. Watch for it.
Actually, I'm terrified of Cowbear.
This is going to shock you.
Got horns.
The movie is not actually called Tune. It's called Dune, Part 2, which tells me there's going to be a Part 3 for some reason. It just feels
I think
don't want
so.
that. Finish the
Part
story.
2, right? It's not Dune,
And
I haven't read the book.
Here,
So I don't
my
know how much
issue
there
with
is.
it is I love
Subtitle.
Denis Villeneuve, but I want him to work on another original movie. It's been a while. And I think working on a franchise like this, it stalls him from doing that. So I want to see a little more creativity. Great. If he finishes a trilogy, fantastic. But I like to see him make something else.
But he's got to make that money, Kent.
Truly.
Got to make those sand dollar bills, y'all.
Okay, let's talk about. You have honorable mentions?
I
before we
do.
go?
Hunting in Venice was my honorable mention. Five Nights at Freddy's, honorable mention.
Ha.
Godzilla -1.
That trailer made no sense to me.
Why?
Just because it was
Because it's Godzilla.
I
you can
don't know
understand the
why
language.
it's -1. I was like, explain the -1.
It's just kind of like an anime naming convention. It's just meant to kind of throw you off.
But is it a prequel? Is it -1?
It might be, but I was granted.
You're overthinking it.
Let's go all the way back to the Godzilla show.
Oui.
But yeah, when Nicole and Chris had us watch those, there's a lot that were weird, but Shin Godzilla was cool, and this looks to be taking off of that. So that'd be cool. And also a movie I saw at Sundance that I freaking love, Flora and Son, and this is going to air on Apple TV Plus. And this has Bono's daughter, Eve Newsom, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Of course.
It's great.
Wow.
And it's directed by Jay Carney, who did Once, Begin Again, Sing Street. I love that guy.
Did you direct anything good? Kidding. Kidding.
Yeah, actually,
Kidding.
He never directed anything good. They're great. They're great.
Right.
Joel, what about you? Honorable mentions?
Nothing really to talk about, although I definitely am going to look up The Killer now.
Yeah.
That's the one where I was
Yeah.
like, okay. But it was interesting to see kind of what was available and what was coming out at the end of the year and be like, wow, we don't really have any sort of like wow movies.
Yeah.
But there is one that definitely caught my attention, one that I really want to see this.
Your number one.
My number one pick is Animal Crossing Christmas Festival, the movie exclamation point.
What?
It's an Animal Crossing. I've never played the game. I've been waiting for the movie so I can understand the game better.
Is it Tom Nook? Is that the main character in Animal Crossing?
I have no idea.
People may go see this, but it's going to be like the draw of 2020 that brings him to this movie. Like, I remember when I was sad and inside and played this game all day.
It's coming out December 1st. This is going to be a Christmas movie. No, I actually picked Napoleon as my number one.
Oh.
Why, you may ask? Because I have been, since the days of watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I have been fascinated with the character of Napoleon.
Ziggy Piggy.
What else slide? But no, I think the story is Napoleon's story is very intriguing. And I was a little worried that this was mostly just going to be about his love story, which that's going to play a heavier hand in it as well.
Right.
But I heard this film will have 6 major battle sequences. And Ridley
cool.
Scott can direct battle sequences very well. And this is going to be coming out in theaters, but then released on Apple TV Plus at a later date. I think that Joaquin Phoenix, he's not my favorite actor.
No.
I think he's a little bit too method for me, if that makes sense.
Is it hard to remove him from the performance now?
I just think every time I watch him, I'm like, oh, you think you're so cool.
Yeah.
And I hate that I feel that, but I do. 'Cause
Right.
I'm like, he's so acting. But at the same time, I mean, confidence and ego is what made Napoleon the legendary war strategist that he is. So, and I always like to learn more about history, even if it's a little bit fictionalized. It gives me those kernels of kind of stuff I remember, like, oh yeah, they did that and that and that in visual form.
Right.
So Napoleon comes out November 22nd, and I'm probably gonna have to wait for ClearPlay, but I'll watch it eventually.
Please Bless is good.
Well, I based on everything that's been said, I already know Kent's number one.
Zack?
It's obviously Iron Claw.
Tell me
Yes.
about Iron Claw, because now it's my new number one.
The Iron Claw is the you've probably just heard it as the wrestling movie that Zac Efron's in.
Oh, you're right.
That comes
Yeah.
out at the end of this year.
Yeah.
It's the film is centered around the Von Erich family, a dynasty of wrestlers from the 1960s onwards.
There's
It's a wrestling movie.
a good chance it might be really good.
Yeah, we'll see if it comes out. It's slated
Zac
for
Efron has been really trying lately, and I keep wanting him to get a success again.
Well, this one, like he's bulked up quite a bit, and I think he wants this to be kind of a dramatic piece, similar to The Wrestler.
This is slated for like Christmas Day release.
Okay.
Let's see if this comes out. But they've been working on it a long time. Little weird honorable mention. Could be good. I don't think this is your number one.
Zach, what's my real number one?
Your real number one is Rebel Moon.
It's Rebel Moon by director Zack Snyder.
Who?
Shocker, right?
Yeah,
Once
wow.
again, going with favorite directors for the entire top 5. And honestly, at the end of the year, even though there's no real like massive movie to end the year, I think even any effort by any of these directors is a great thing.
So you're not. Your number 2 is Denis Villeneuve, and your number 1 is Zack Snyder.
Hold on. So
and a
your-
Christopher Nolan movie came out this year, by the way.
His top 5. We've got Ridley Scott, Martin Scorsese, David Fincher, then Denis Villeneuve. Now Zack Snyder.
This is like a who's who list of modern
And you
directors.
already had.
And I already saw a Nolan movie.
You already had a
this
Nolan
year.
movie this year.
Yeah, you're
Isn't that
spoiled.
awesome?
You're spoiled in 2023.
This is missing one thing. There's no Edgar Wright movie this year.
Oh, well, you're ruined.
Just broke my heart.
I know. I'm sorry.
And I don't even
Sorry.
know if he's working on another movie right
Ken,
now.
after I watched, you were here when I watched the trailer
Yeah, just
for
barely.
this.
Yeah.
What did I say after I watched the trailer?
That is so Zack Snyder.
No.
What'd you say?
I said something to the effect of, okay, that was the Dune trailer. Now where's this
yep.
other trailer?
Yes, you did.
It felt very similar, although I was intrigued. I'm not going to downplay it because it was like,
that
"Ooh,
actually
this is fun."
may be. I mean, it's a reaction that people will give, but I actually think people will immediately go, "Oh, it's Zack Snyder's Star Wars."
And that's the problem with the name Rebel Moon, is I think people are going to think it has something to do with
Well, let
Star
me give
Wars.
you some of the background. This is reported, and he's done a few interviews about the story. He's had the story idea in his head for about a dozen years, and in fact, he was going to pitch this as a Star Wars movie. He had wrote a nerdy Star Wars movie for himself, and then the whole Disney thing happened, and he's like, that's not going to happen. I don't think I'll be working for Disney. I like too much creative control. And so he changed the story around, made it his own thing, kept it in his back pocket, and then finally when he's got this crazy deal with Netflix, regardless of Army of the Dead not being very good, they said, hey, we'll finance you and trust you. And here's the weird thing. This movie, by the way, it's 2 movies. The first one is being released December 22nd. The next one is being released in April. Each of those movies cost $80 million to make.
That's it.
And that's why the price of Netflix keeps going up, kid.
No.
But here's the thing: that's nothing.
The Flash was made for $300 million. Did you see those babies?
The Flash was made by a big, huge studio. The Netflix...
But don't you think, in a way, it's embezzlement? Because Zack Snyder can take $80 million, and granted, it's going to have a little spotty special effects. It's going to have the volume. But the movie, even by the trailer, is explosive. And I'm like, that looks like a $300 million movie.
with lightsabers.
With lightsabers,
Well,
truly.
they're going to call them laser swords. They can't quite do that.
I hope they do. So the synopsis of the first one is, when a peaceful colony on the edge of a galaxy finds itself threatened by the armies of a tyrannical ruling force, a mysterious stranger living among its villagers becomes their best hope for survival.
Officially, this is called Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
And the second is called The Scar Giver.
So it's Star Wars and Hunger Games?
Could be. Honestly, we've seen genres mix up so much, and what's original anymore? But to see Zack Snyder make even a Star Wars movie, I'm stoked. And I haven't seen Sofia Boutella, who is the main star in this one, for a while. Anthony
She was in
Hopkins-
The Mummy.
She was in The
as
Mummy.
The Mummy.
Yeah.
She was in Kingsman as
Kickbutt.
Giselle?
Giselle. Yeah, it's Gazelle.
Gazelle, that's right.
Anthony Hopkins plays a robot. Charlie Hunnam, Jamon Hansu, Ray Fisher. A lot of just character actors. And maybe that's why he was made for so cheap. But at the same time, I'm totally down. And I do want to see something new. Dune 2, I think, will be incredibly solid and probably the better movie. But the story that I feel is more unique would be Rebel Moon. So obviously, Snyder has to be my number one, even though, yeah, he totally let me down with Army of the Dead. But we'll see.
Ken, I just added that.
And Tom Hulkenberg is doing the score.
Junkie XL.
wow.
Yeah. So, Joel, I know that means nothing, but yeah.
By the way, I've just added that to my honorable mentions, Kent. You've sold me. I'm now intrigued by this.
How so?
Rebel Moon.
Well, I was going to say just the cast, when you started listing them off, I'm like, that's a pretty solid cast.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is, please don't take this the wrong way, the fact that it is Star Wars fan fiction
Yes.
makes me go,
Yes.
okay, this could be fun.
I actually think that Snyder has a good chance of succeeding outside of an IP because he's not held down by the expectations of what should be.
Okay, can I talk a little bit about that? This movie is being released that day, PG-13. Okay?
Okay, good.
And then rated R.
What?
Oh,
Because
he's doing a director's cut.
He's doing a director's cut. He's already said there will be a longer director's cut of each of these movies. But isn't that cool that there's a PG-13
Sure,
movie
yeah.
and a director's cut, and it's not Warner Brothers saying, maybe you can make this movie eventually.
So this is him just saying, you want the Snyder cut? Now I'm going to
But-
do it with every movie I do.
The problem with this, other than him being the cinematographer, is that Netflix is behind it because the way they run movies is so horrible. They really don't know how to market or release their movies.
No.
And it may run in theaters. If they don't release this in theaters, it'd be a mistake based on the trailer.
This looks like a theater movie.
Yeah.
for sure. It was I believe they want to make this at least a trilogy.
Yes.
So there's the two announced movies. There were two movies filmed back to back. I think that he wants to make it a trilogy, and I've also heard talk of a video game.
Yeah, it's already being worked on.
So, as well as novelization of the film, a graphic novel. Like
Netflix gets a little too big for their britches. They're like, hey Snyder, can you make an Army of the Dead world? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then they make whatever. And it may not actually
and
pan
that's
out.
why the prices of Netflix keep going up, folks.
Everything.
Snyder is quoted as saying, "My hope is that this also becomes a massive IP and a universe that can be built out."
Yeah.
Which the IP all has to start somewhere.
Right.
Being intellectual property, we should clarify
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I mean, there was once only one Fast and Furious movie. Once upon a time.
Crazy. And then there's Kip X. Yeah.
Can't believe they're finally releasing that. It's been pushed back so many times.
Guess you could say it's getting pretty serious. I'm so sorry. That's on the poster though, right?
La Family. Instead of La Fonda. Yeah.
La Family?
La Family. Anyway, that's our picks for the upcoming thing. Kent, do you want to run through your flops real quick and I'll run through mine?
All right, starting from 5 to 1, it's The Nun 2, Trolls Band Together, The Hunger Games prequel, Aquaman 2, and The Marvels.
Joel?
And mine are Wonka, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, The Hunger Games, The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, The Marvels, and Trolls Band Together.
And my most anticipated is Napoleon, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Killer, Dune Part 2, and Rebel Moon.
Joel?
And my 5 want to see for the end of the year are Dune Part 2, Dream Scenario, Five Nights at Freddy's, A Haunting in Venice, and Napoleon. Aha. But let us know if we missed any of the ones that you wanted us to talk about that are coming up for the end of the year, or let us know if any of the ones we talked about interested you and brought to your attention, much like Kent made Rebel Moon on my honorable mention list.
Yay.
Let us know on Instagram, let us know on Facebook, let us know on Twitter. We want to hear from you. But before we go, we'd like to give some love to our patrons, those that support the show and help us keep doing what we're doing here in the Bacon Cave, including the I Am a Listener tier, which consists of Taylor Sanderson, Sir and Madam Hicks, Scott Sprague, Ryan and Marley, Rocky and Steph, Lady Terry A. Finley, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Jennifer Kilkowski, Dave Kelly, Casey Cummings, Briggs is Hot, Angela Plotz, Andrew's Doing a Big Jump, and Adam and Rachel Crump. And then we have our Bacon Council, which includes the one, the only Chris Anderson, Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, Star Wars expert Kyler, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Nicole D. Kale, Johnny English the Brick, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Glow Clint Daniel, Debbie Foster, and Bicker.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You are the five knights to our Freddies. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter, or you can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and follow us at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. While you're doing that, visit tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. And then if you like the show, you like what's going on here, and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where you can get all sorts of fun behind-the-scenes benefits. Support starts at just $3 a month.
So until next time. Ooh, hey, guys. I just talked to Holly about the movies we talked about, which ones are going to come out this year. Mm-hmm. And they said, "You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!"
So good. I would say no.
Actually, that's pretty funny. Yeah, that is funny. I did? What? This is a total flop, and I love to see it.
There's CGI Oompa Loompas wagging their bums. You have to join our HOA of chocolate factories.
It's literally been my favorite joke since 1998. Don't take it from me.
I was not enamored. Her dogfish steps on a bee.
I wrote the story on a napkin.
Yeah.
Here you go.
In a cave.
He can read.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you, Kent. I don't care about any of that.
China loves the ocean.
I blame MODOK for most things.
It literally is the gift that keeps on giving.
What?
You know what? So is dysentery.
Can we trade him to Gen Z?
There's 2 Napoleon, 2 Dynamite, and
Yes.
there's just Dynamite 7.
Yeah.
Kip X.
The Uncle Rico extended universe. She's the pink one, sucks up other creatures, takes their powers. I hate sand.
Because of course.
Jump, make go scare. Jump,
Scare,
jump,
go,
scare
ah.
me. Me go, ah!
Me like Exorcist go
Freddy
Moo Moo.
Fazbear, obviously. Oh, go on. Other characters?
Cowbear. It's going to be the next animatronic. It's going to be Cowbear. Watch for it.
Actually, I'm terrified of Cowbear.
Dude. Got horns. Well, you're ruined.
I'm sorry.
The family.
Hey, you want some spice?